So this week we're going to talk about theory in biology. Why should anyone even care about theory? And the reason is because every area of study has some really big questions. In cosmology, of course, it's how did this universe even get here? And those who have a naturalistic view have a theory for that, the Big Bang theory. In geology, it's how do we explain the geological features and the layers that we see all around us? And the uniformitarians have a theory for that as well. And I'm so thankful that way back at the beginning of creation science, we didn't just say, the uniformitarian theory is true, but it's just limited in some way. But we came up with a completely different explanation, an alternative hypothesis for how these layers got here. And then we could make predictions of what we expected to find, and then we could test those predictions. And then a few years later in Mount St. Helens, we had confirmation of our predictions. That's the power of a theory. That's the power of giving an alternative way to explain things that can be proven right or wrong. Well, in biology, we have some big questions as well. Obviously, one of them is, what is the origin of life? But the next big one, which relates specifically to general revelation, is this. Why do organisms look so incredibly engineered? That's a great question. And in fact, it's because organisms do look so incredibly engineered, and it's because they have some corresponding features to human engineered things, that the Lord is revealing himself so clearly and so directly to people that to deny that they were engineered makes you look foolish. Now, some evolutionists have denied that engineering, and they've claimed things like bad design, and they're easily dispatched with. But what Darwin did is he came up with an alternative hypothesis. Darwin said, I'll grant that organisms look incredibly engineered, but I'm going to give you a completely natural explanation for that engineering. Unfortunately, when it came to biology, we've basically said Darwin's explanation is true, or his mechanism is basically right, but it just can't do everything that Darwin claims. In essence, we've been playing Darwin's game on Darwin's field by Darwin's rules, and we really haven't made much progress. That's why we need a completely different way to explain organisms. A hypothesis which assumes that organisms look engineered because they really are engineered. And if it's really going to be a theory, it's going to have some basic assumptions, some basic principles, and then it's going to be able to set a research agenda based on predictions of things that we expect to find. And then those can be tested. And a theory is not simply saying that when we look at creatures, the best explanation for irreducible complexity or for specified complexity is the inference to design. Now, we need to actually come up with something that has basic assumptions and principles to interpret the biological features that we see around us. So that's why theory is important, and that's what we're going to discuss during this episode. We're going to go through some basic steps, identifying why we need a theory, the biblical basis for those theories, some of the basic assumptions for those theories. We're going to use the cavefish model that ICR has been studying to make some predictions and make some tests, and actually do a head-to-head challenge between what evolutionists predict and what we predict and see who's right. So, a theory of biological design can completely revolutionize the way we see biology. It can fundamentally change the way Christians think about biology, and it will affirm so strongly what we see in biology that it is engineered, that it will actually magnify the Lord Jesus Christ in terms of his genius, his power, and especially his wisdom to make things. So that's why I urge you to tune into this program and learn some of the basics for a theory of biological design.